Holosky podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
And we are back today, Holocult. It's Monday. You know what that means? We're here to hang out, kickstart your work week. We have a very special guest returning to the show to talk about some weirdness. Our friend Creationist Life is here to talk as soon as we get through the business. So if you're new, you're going to want to fast forward to about 4 or 5 minutes if you don't like listening to us talk. If you do, just hang out. You know, it's cool. Check us out at all our socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Search up the Holosky podcast. You'll find us there. Come and join us. Be part of the community, part of the cult. It's a fun thing to do. Everybody's doing it. It's pretty rad. If you have a paranormal experience you'd like for us to feature on a future show, Kyle has some details you're going to want.
I do. It's easy. It's all, as always, it's in the show notes, and it's going to be holoskypodcast@gmail.com. That is the link to all your life's needs. You can write your story out, shoot it over there. We'll get it, and we'll put it on its own show. Or you might get lucky, and you get an interview like our friend here.
If you'd like to support this wonderful journey we're doing, there's all kinds of ways you can do it. You can go to Patreon. For $7 a month, you can sign up and get all kinds of extra episodes. That being said, if you're not a fan of the higher side chats, you need to be. So go and check it out. Our interview with Greg dropped today, which might not be today. I don't know when this show's going to drop. Anyway, it's out. Go check it out. Support him in his endeavors. But that also dropped on our Patreon for our Patreon subscribers. You can also go to holoskypodcast.com and check our store out over there. We got all kinds of good stuff. The hats are ordered. We have new hats on the way. Hopefully be here before Christmas, probably. So that's cool. You can also go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and review. And if I find it, I will gladly shout you out. That being said, I am not prepared to do one today, but we're going to go anyway. So our 5-star rating and review today is from our friend, the Bigfoot Mailman. Hell yes. Bigfoot Mailman says 5 stars. The top of the top 1%. These guys are the best and most down to earth. They're 100% the best example of what podcasts should be. I'd say on the level with Confessionals and Rogan. Triple metal sign emoji. Stay weird, guys. Bigfoot Mailman, thanks so much for taking the time to leave us a 5-star rating and review. We appreciate the kind words. Love hearing it. Thank you so much.
When you're out there delivering mail, you need to pick up my route. That way I can see Bigfoot Mailman coming down my street.
I thought he was like Bigfoot's mailman. I didn't think he was a Bigfoot as a mailman, but I hope that's
I feel like,
the case.
well, I mean, have you ever seen Men in Black? I mean, aliens that work at the post office. It's what they do.
That's true. I get it.
It's probably why I couldn't get a job there.
Because you're not an alien?
Yeah.
Not a Bigfoot?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely not a Bigfoot.
Bigfoot Mailman, if you're listening, send us your delivery address and I'll send you a whole bunch of QR code stickers and you can just vandalize your whole route.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah. But, yeah, share the show word of mouth too. Forgot that part. Anyways, that about wraps it up. We are here with our friend Creationist Life. He joined us, what did we say it was? 2022? Talk about some weirdness.
Oh, yeah.
Coming back around to see what's going down. How are you, brother? How you been?
I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate you, letting me come back on. I know it's been two years. 2 years.
Been a minute.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you
been
said, time flies.
I can't believe it. How many episodes is that in 2 years? 50, 60, 150?
A lot.
It's a lot.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all for sure for letting me come back on. So really just about an update of, last time I was on, I talked about a lot of craziness, but the past life regression thing was the, in my opinion, most prominent, even more than the shadow people and all the craziness for ghosts and stuff. But yeah, so I did if you remember, I had 3 doors. I went through 2 of them. One was the Egypt life, one was the samurai life, which was awesome. And then there's that 3rd door that was a white mausoleum stone that I wanted to go through, and it wasn't time. When I first did it, it took me about 2 years to decide, hey, it's time actually to go ahead and do. Actually, no, 4 years, because when I originally did it was 2020. So yeah, it took me 4 years before I felt like it was ready to go through go through that one for sure. Absolutely. Now, I originally thought it was Greek. It wasn't Greek. That was behind that, or Roman, which I love all that stuff. Just saw Gladiator 2, which was pretty good, by the way. No, it wasn't Greek or Roman. Actually, unfortunately, it was something way weirder than that.
What I guess you can be as vague as you want on this, depending on how the question goes. But what happened in your life to make you feel ready to experience the third door?
So, honestly, it was really just an inner sense of like it's time. I mean, nothing really happened as far as like a sign that, lit up the street, or, a beam of light that said go or anything. I wish that would been cool. It was just like, you know what? I think I'm ready to see what's behind it. And ever since I did it the first time, if I reach out, I can, get messages from that spirit guide who walked me through it. And I asked, hey, is it ready? I think I'm ready to do it. He said, I'll help you again. Let's go. So contacted the woman the first time and scheduled it, and within a couple week or two I was diving back into another.
That's awesome.
So wait, past life regression actually was a future life regression, so it ended up being way different than what I thought.
Oh,
It is way different.
I'm here for it.
That's way different.
It was kind of both, but also future. Yeah, I was not ready. And I watched them because it record you when you do it. So I rewatched it, and I was very confused in the explanation as I was giving my you say what you're seeing, and you could tell I was like, what, I could see like what the hell's going on? How is this? Like, where am I right now? Yeah, it was nuts.
That's awesome.
Really cool. Yeah. So dive back into it. You do the whole trance thing. They put you under, you're awake, but you're not. Whatever. Anyway, so I'm back at the door like super quick. I mean, it took like, it wasn't hard at all because I already seen it. So, I knew where I was going, right? So I'm back on the beach, and there's the 3 doors, and 2 of them are open, and then there's the white one, and I'm like, here we go. It's Roman, Greek. Yeah, let's do this. I'm all ready to go. And I'm assuming that's what's in there. And I put my hand on it and push hard. The door opens. I walk in, it goes white. And then, clears, and I'm standing again on a beach, a little different than that one. And I look up in the air, and there's a planet in the sky, and you can see a ring, almost like as if Saturn was like in our, you could see it from your window. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm not on Earth. This is not Roman or Greek. What's going on? And I'm just like staring at the planet because like, it's like Halo or something. That's what it reminded me of when I think, like you can see the ring. It's like,
oh
up in
yeah.
the sky. And I look to my right, and my spirit guy with the white hood is there, and he's like, "Are you ready? Let's go." And I'm like, "Yeah," because now I'm like, "What?" I'm like so lost because you have a preconception of what you're gonna see, or at least like an idea. Like I'm thinking Greek, and I'm on some planet. Like what is going on? So he's like, let's go over the hill. So we go over that hill, and there's like a caravan of robed people with hoods walking on this like sidewalk path thing. And they're going over the sand into the water, and out into the water is like this giant like what would be the word? It looked like like a temple, like a stone temple, like a Greek temple, or the gods that they used to have. But it's in the middle of the water, like it's in the ocean, and the path is like above the water, like floating, and these people are just walking towards it. And I'm like, man, what the hell? Like I'm so just like out of my element, I'm just like, I guess we got to go with everyone else. And he's like, go, so we're just walking, and I'm looking and trying to look at the faces, right, of the people, because I'm like, I got to see what these people look like, because it's obviously another planet. So I'm looking around, and a lot of them are in front of me, so I can't see because I got the hoods. But one walks by, and I catch a glimpse, and they got long, like blonde hair, pointy ears like elves, and they're tall, like 8 feet, and they got like these eyes that are like blue and like shimmering. So I'm like, man, I'm like freaking out. Like this is cool as shit. Like this is cool. Like what's going on? So like we're walking and walking, and then we finally get to like this temple that's in the water, and everyone's like in this like just crowding this flat area, and in the flat area there's like a stone archway, right? and in between the archways, blue energy. It's like a portal. It's a portal. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It looks like a Stargate, kind of, but big, more elegant than that. And I'm standing there like, oh, what's about? I'm like watching a movie, like, what's about to happen, And everyone's looking at the portal, like waiting for someone. So finally, someone comes out of it, and it's another guy. Ears, looks like a high elf from Lord of the Rings, I guess would be the best way to say it. He walks out. He's got some group, 3, 4 of them with him, and everyone's clapping and like happy, and I'm just like taking it in, like, hey, this is this is really cool. I don't know what's going on, but this is like pretty awesome. Like, he's like a noble or a king. I don't know. He's someone important. He walks over to me and hugs me, and I just start crying. And he whispers, "You were gone a lot longer than you thought, weren't you? I'm glad you're back." And I'm just bawling, and I just like melt into his arm. I'm like, it's like a brother hug. Like it's like your brother. Like you haven't seen your brother in like years. It felt like that. I guess that'd be the best way I could explain it. And he goes, "You've been gone so long, and you finally made it back. And this is a welcome party for you because you're finally home." And I'm just like bawling my eyes out. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Crying. People are clapping. And when you do past life, it kind of skips to like the next important scene, I guess, would be memory or whatever. So the next scene is that night, and it's just a fire, and everyone's talking and feasting and drinking and hanging out, like a bonfire. Like you would just hang out with your friends. And the guy, again, he's next to me, and he's like, "You finally made it home." And he's like, "You got stuck there, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "You didn't think you'd get stuck that long?" I was like, "No, I don't." And he looks me in the eyes and goes, "Well, you're back, you're home, and I need you to remember you chose to do this." And I'm like, "Earth sucks." I just remember saying, "Earth sucks." I remember saying that. I'm like,
Understatement of the
like, it
century.
sucks. Like, it was too hard. And he's like, "You don't remember what, you don't remember volunteering?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "All right." So now it flashes again. So this is where it's weird, because it's a future life, because he goes, "This is the life after your current one." So I told you I'm not doing Earth anymore. I guess I'm 100% serious.
I don't
Because this
blame
is
you.
like after this, I guess. And he's like, "You're done. Your mission's complete. But let me show you why you went." So this is what's weird, because it's like a future life, but then it goes back. And in the next scene, the next memory, I guess, it's that guy, me, a bunch of other of us, and we're in a big old like war room, like a big room. There's a big old circular like map, glowing looking map on the table, like a big device, and above it it's like Earth. You can see it. It's like Star Wars, right? Like how it shoots the little light, and you can see it. It's like that, and it's Earth, and he's standing in the middle, and he's telling everybody, "Who's gonna go? We need people. We need volunteers." And no one. There's like 100 people in this room. Nobody's raising their hand. Everyone's just like, no one wants to do it.
Crickets.
And yeah, like crickets. And he's like, "If we don't go and help humanity to wake up, they're on a bad path to darkness, and they can't awaken it without us going and lighting it." I guess, like, putting the little poking the holes, little tiny holes in the story or the narrative or whatever. And no one's raising their hand, man. Nope, not me, nobody. Everyone's like, I'm not. I guess we all knew that place sucks. Yeah, we ain't going back there, man. We ain't going there. And he tells us, he goes, "Well, if you don't want to go, I'm gonna show you what's gonna happen there if we don't go, or if some of us don't go." And now we're standing, like it's like a hologram or something, but we're standing on like on Earth. I would say it was like a dusty, Midwest town, like dirty, just like sand and stuff. And I'm looking around, and to my right, there's a lady who's just like skin and bones, man. Like hasn't eaten in, forever. Just looks like malnourished, not enough water. She's got like robes on, and they're all dirty and tattered. and she's just like, please help me. Do you have food? Like, she's begging us to help her. And I'm just looking at this lady, and she looks like she's like about to die, you know? And I'm like looking around, and like the sky's dark, and like thunder, like you just hear, boom, noises, and the buildings are destroyed and like burned looking and shit. And then you just hear a scream, like a roar, like multiple roars, like didn't sound like people. It sounded like demons, monsters. I don't know, like the worst shit ever. Skinwalkers, whatever they are. I don't know. You hear like roaring and yelling, and she looks up and goes, "They've taken everything from us, and now they're gonna take our bodies. Is the last thing they want. They're gonna take our flesh now." And then it splits, and then we're back in the room, and he's like, "If we don't help them, they're being manipulated by the dark. They're gonna end up like this. So we have to do this. Does anyone want to do it?" And then people start, all right, I'll go. All right, I'll go. All right, I'll go. And after that, we're back at the fire, and he just looks at me, and he's like, "You got stuck. It was a lot harder than you thought it was going to be. But I need you to know the mission." Now, I did this probably this year in like February of this year, January, like right around then. And he goes, "I know it looks bad, but it's not bad. It worked. The light's going to win. And I need you to enjoy the rest of your life here now. Put the weapon down. Stop being scared that it's going to lose, that it's all going to go to the toilet and, go badly." He's like, "Mission successful. Go enjoy the rest of your life. Raise your kids, be with your wife. Have the life that, you always wanted, that you deserve. It's okay." And then I woke up, and I was like crying in real life, here, it was ended. And then I was back. I'm like, oh my fucking God, what was this? What was this? I thought I was going to Rome. What are you mean? And it's like I told you guys earlier, it took like a week or two for me to really like wrap my head around that, because I've been down the rabbit hole enough. We've all seen the Great Awakening, right? We've heard of that, and the starseed thing, I guess, and that stuff, and people are here to help wake up others and everything. But I guess I was one, and I guess I'm done. But I will say I had profound peace after that, because I felt like I was so scared. The world was going so bad earlier this year, it looked real dangerous. World War III is like right there. Yeah, I guess it kind of still is, but it's like right there. And the control, the censorship, all the bad stuff. And I just was like, I'm gonna stop worrying about it, because you can't enjoy your life if you're worried about the bad. And not that it's like easy, smooth sailing or anything, but I had this profound like, okay, it's gonna work out, like that kind of thing. More than just like, oh, we're all screwed. I was thinking that for like a long time, and I felt like, all right, I'm gonna just like believe this. And now here we are at the end of the year, and I don't know about you, but I feel like there is a sigh of relief going around from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that we were on a bad timeline for sure, and I think we're not on it anymore. So yeah, man, it was wild shit, dude. It took me so long to really think about it. I was like, what the heck? It was nuts, for sure.
I'm jotting down some notes.
Yeah,
I got questions, but I want to.
Yeah, you can go ahead. That was just it. It was just that experience of talking to the guy, and then him giving me that gift of like, it's okay, you can breathe.
I'm trying to get this done. I'm trying to know about what I got going on.
I know, like,
awesome.
We talked before the show how I'm like real reserved when it comes to like letting people dig into my energy, but like,
okay, I'm gonna give you advice, okay? Because once I did it, I was like, everyone needs to do it. Like, do it. And someone I know went to do it, and they said they were ready, but they really weren't ready. And it was they didn't get to do it. It was something happened, and it was not good. So if you feel like you want to do it, then do it. But if you're like, I don't really want to do it, but I'm gonna do it, probably don't do it until you're like, okay, I want to do it. Because
I think there's a spiritual weight that comes with it.
It was and like I said earlier before we were recording, from the last time that I did it, you know, and I was told you guys remember when they tried to abduct me, apparently, and they were told to back off or whatever it was. I haven't really had any paranormal experiences since then, like in my own life, and I've had a whole life of that stuff. So it really stopped after that. After I did this, though, for the first time in like 4 years, 3 years or so, I saw some darting shadows around me, like a month or so later. It only happened twice and it never happened again. So I don't know if that was like dip my toe in the paranormal again, and they started messing around. I don't really know, but it stopped. So, and I haven't seen anything since. And this was like February, March. So yeah, for sure.
You also remind me of the description from The Laws One, the Wanderer.
Yeah. Well, when you guys did that episode, I was like, that was after all this.
Because they even specifically talk about that
I remember that.
the wanderers can get stuck.
Apparently I did.
That is
Apparently I got stuck here.
It's really weird timing, to say the least.
I remember when I heard that one, I was like, maybe I'm one of those. Because that was way after this. Yeah. That was a few months later.
It is hard telling. And it's even weirder that, I mean, aside from the possibility of just sheer manipulation, which we're going to push that away, but just everything that you experienced during this, the way that it all adds up on the timeline is bizarre.
It's so weird. And I'll tell you, like, you guys remember, I don't know if you remember, but the original two, I mean, they weren't like fun memories. Like the first one, I was like, I was not a good person. Like, I let my wife die to kill the bad guy and then died. Like, that's not a good guy. That's not a good hero. That's not good. And then the Egypt one was I lost my wife. I mean, I was really sad, but I was, I guess, a good person in that one. So like this one, it was totally like, hey, you volunteered to come here and help these people. And I mean, you guys are plugged in pretty deep in the rabbit holes. You saw how bad the darkness was really like. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff, man, for a long time. And I guess the light burned it away. I don't know. Something changed though. You could see it. Something's different behind the scenes. Right? I mean, it's not just me, is it? I feel like there's something's different. Right?
I do.
I mean, I don't want to be hopeful, but like, I feel like something's different.
Yeah, for sure. I do think it was super bleak there for a while.
Yeah, the dark timeline.
Yeah,
like it really was.
The last year, the beginning of this year, like,
dude,
there was not a lot of hope. I do feel like something has shifted. Hopefully for the better, like.
It was like the world was just not what I grew up in all of a sudden. I got kids. Like, I don't want them to grow up in a world that's worse than the world I was in. I mean, my world was 9/11. Like, are we really going to get worse than that? I mean, yeah, we can get worse than that. But like, is this really what we want for our kids? No. I don't want them to feel like, what is the world that I'm in? You know what I mean? Like, it felt bleak. I mean, there was people like, I'm not having kids in this world. It's bad. And I could I get that.
Yep.
Like, because I don't know all the time. I don't know if I would have. If I was like 20 something now, I don't or at least like last year or something, I don't know if I would have done it. Like, it's getting kind of sketchy. Like, government can take your kids in some states. Like, there's some weird shit going on. Like, that's never been a thing before. Like, that's crazy. And I understand people being like, I don't want to, like, the world's pretty bad right now. Like, I don't want to have a kid. Like, I get that mentality,
Yeah.
And, we all have kids, so we're already in it. We got to do the best we can. You know what I mean? So, we're like, okay, we're gonna just protect them. But
I have that conversation with myself all the time. Like, I love my kids.
I love them to death.
Take a bullet, take a million bullets for my kids. But if I would rethink the state of the world.
Yeah.
If I ever went about it again, I think.
No, 100%. But I feel like something is, I mean, I'm not even saying politics. I think behind the scenes, like, I think the darker players, whatever you want to say that is, I think that's been cleared out. I feel like, I don't know.
And it almost goes, if you like, correlate it to the paranormal world. It's almost like, especially with all the disclosure and shit that's going on, it's almost like their hands are being forced. Like whatever's gonna happen
So
is coming.
my
And they
intuition on that, 100%. There's a date that was given, and I think it's next year. I don't know why I think 2025. I don't have information on that. I'm just saying I feel that there was a date that was given by, I'm hoping benevolent ones, I'm assuming they are, that was like, hey, by this date, prepare your people for our possibility because your world's about to change. And that's it. And get it right. I don't know when it is, but I have this intuition hit that it's 2025. I don't know why.
Yep.
But
That's
it's in my brain. It's that early, not 5 years, 3, 10, like now. And
I
there's
feel
a
like
ramp up. You can see it. Like it's everywhere. It's crazy.
their hands are being forced, and they're gonna
They're
either gonna try to like kind of ease our way into it, or they're gonna try to push the narrative that they're malevolent, right? You're gonna start
Yeah.
seeing all kinds of crazy shit in the skies, like they said, fights with fighter planes and all kinds of shit.
You know that date, December 3rd? You know how that
Yeah.
whole thing about that's my wife's birthday. So we're about to have a great birthday.
That's
So
nuts.
Synchronicity, bro.
I said, "Hey, babe, I know you don't want to celebrate your birthday, but we're about to be celebrating the day the Earth stood still." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I showed her that video, and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "That's your birthday."
Just go outside
But
and watch
then,
it all take
but
place.
then, like, there's all these where was that the freaking all over the capital, Arizona,
Yeah,
in the
one
UK, the airport
landed at the damn airport.
dude, it looked like a Super Saiyan pod or whatever from Dragon Ball Z. It
Yes.
looked like a pod from Dragon. I was like, is Vegeta in there? What's going on, man?
God.
I was like,
what is happening?
what is happening? And it's all before. Okay. I mean, part of me is like, oh, it is ramping up, but it's not going to be that thing. And then part of me is like, can it be that thing? That'd be so wild. You know, the catastrophic disclosure part of me just wants to, let's go, boy, let's do it, you know?
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
That's where I'm at. Blow the lid off that sumbitch.
Let's go.
Land in the White House, and then they show up over the what was it? The cap? Was it White House or the Capitol?
They were over they were over DC, like flying around. They're like, oh, they're drones. Like, yo, stop.
Yeah, right.
I mean, are they alien drones? If they're alien drones, I mean, y'all were the ones talking about that factory in the water in the ocean.
Yeah,
remember that episode?
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe they are drones. Maybe they're from there.
Dude, I have
they
no
could
idea.
be, but if it was, I gotta believe that if it was human tech drones, I mean, the White House is one of the they got.
Oh no, not human tech.
Ground to air missiles around the White House and shit. Like
no, I mean alien drones. Alien drones.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if it was human tech, you can't tell me that they wouldn't have deemed that a threat.
Oh yeah,
and potentially blow it out of the sky.
Try to do something.
I mean, come on, because that's a clear. Let me show you how big mine is to fly it over the White House.
Dude, that's what he said. There's a date. There's a freaking date, man.
I believe it. I mean,
and they're like, "Hey, we're showing up, and we're gonna be pinging way more now." You know, or if you believe in the awakening thing, maybe it's a consciousness thing. Humanity as a collective have hit a tier, and now it's
okay. Well, let's talk about that then. Do you really believe that?
I mean, a year ago I wouldn't have said that, but maybe. I don't know. Something's different. I
do agree that something is different, but is it within ourselves that it's different? Because we are viewing, because you still doom scroll and it is all trash still.
Oh, of course. Well, that's what gets your eyeballs, you know. That's what keeps you on the algorithm. But I just feel like the weight, maybe the word is weight, of the darkness seems to be like getting lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser. And I hope that's, you know, going to continue. I mean, you can't live.
I agree.
You can't live like this. Like, that's not the world to live in, where it's like control and censorship and, you know, like all that stuff. Like, no, that's not, at least that's not what America is, you know? So as long as we can get that back, I'm happy. But I do feel like there's a date next year. I don't know.
I 100% feel like there is going to be some form of a disclosure, but I'll stand on it like I have for a long time. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they're not doing it because they want to do it. They're doing it because they have to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And no matter what happens, the powers that be are going to come across to us like they're in control of the situation. And I don't think they are at all. I
Oh,
think it's going to be
100%.
complete just the opposite. But I think they're going to try to sell it whichever way that's going to be. Like Steve was saying, maybe they're going to say that they're malevolent, whatever the case is. They're going to sell it like they know what's going on and they're in control of the situation.
Oh yeah,
which I believe is complete bullshit.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think they're in control of any of it.
yeah. You can't tell me that they went 60 years saying, "Hey, this isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. This doesn't exist. This isn't real." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Well,
By the
about
way,
that."
they're in the oceans. They're
Yeah.
here. They're
Exactly.
there. You know.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Exactly.
I think they're being forced, but I don't think. Let me put it this way. I think that there was two options that could have happened. I think one was that whole, alien overlord stuff was an option. I think that was the plan. I really do.
Oh, they can get it.
I think that was what they wanted. But I think something happened behind the scenes somewhere, and now we're like on a different thing. I mean, again, I'm hopeful. You got to ask me because I did a past life. Like they're like, "Hey, you're good. Like, don't worry about it." And they could have lied. I mean, I don't even know how I feel about all that, but I feel lighter. I tell you that.
To be fair, I mean, and it's not to for anything that I say this, but I mean, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Yeah,
it could
true.
get a lot worse before it gets better. That is always a possibility. But in your regression, maybe your weight is lifted because no matter what happens, whether it be the next 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, in the end,
You're good.
we will triumph. However, it is the gap between now and then that
What
must
happens?
be filled.
What happens? Well, I just keep telling myself, well, hopefully this whole darkest thing was the last, few years.
I hope. I absolutely hope.
And because it was pretty bad, man. There was a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't like, wasn't in the street or anything terrible, but there was some bad stuff. I mean,
Absolutely.
we all experienced it. So I'm hoping, okay,
It was
we're
heavy
cool.
the last 5 years.
It was heavy, man, and
Yeah.
like my wife the other day, she's like, "Can you believe 2020 was almost 5 years ago when the pandemic?"
Crazy.
And I was like,
It's crazy.
I'm like, where did the time go? Like, it
It's
was like
hard
a
to even
blur.
imagine a time before that. Like if you try to think back,
It is.
like
Yeah.
before
Oh,
the
I know.
lockdowns and shit. It's almost impossible to think of a life before then.
Yeah,
was
it's like
such a
what happened?
timeline altering event that like anything before that almost feels like it doesn't exist.
I agree. It
crazy.
feels really surreal, and it feels very it's very scary actually how close the world got to complete like technocratic like lockdown like shit like future probably social credit score like all this craziness like I think like it was like that close, man. I think it was so close.
Oh, I do too.
No,
It was
it was there. I mean, it was
happening.
there. It was there.
And
It was
just
absolutely there.
like took a turn at the last second. Like we dodged a bullet. Well, I'm not even,
Which makes you wonder if that was like them saying, "Hey, you guys are going to have to get your shit together." Because think about when the first big disclosure happened was right in the middle of the lockdown. Like
it was
right in the crux of the lockdown. When
everyone watched it because there's
Yeah.
nothing else to do.
Yep. And I feel like that's when the cards started to change a little bit. Like maybe whatever these entities are saw what was coming, saw just total overtake by the 1%, and they're like, "No, we're not gonna let this play out like this,"
Dude,
So then they started doing shit.
The 1% that the 1% worship.
Yeah.
Take orders from, maybe. Wait, I don't know. Like it's something crazy like that. You could just feel it.
I could see that was the beginning of their big play.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like it was a play. I think it was a grab.
It was a power grab.
Like almost like it almost felt like because I do believe that these people, whether I know it sounds crazy, I know it sounds insane.
Nothing sounds crazy anymore.
Right.
I do believe that in some of these cases they have timelines laid out of said goals. I want, because we hear about the WF and all these other corporations that come together and they plot the future of the planet, which is always going to be insane to me. But what a good business person will usually do is they set goals for themselves.
Right.
I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be here in set amount of years or time or minute, whatever. And I do feel like there's this overarching goal that they had, and then something happened, and they're like, okay, we got to cut this in about a quarter of a time. We got to make the play, and we got to go now.
Dude,
we've got to go full send.
I'm with you, buddy. I've been in my mind, not that I know the plan, but I think there was like a 100-step plan.
Yeah.
If you follow these 100 steps, you will have NWO complete control or whatever. And they're like, cool. And I feel like it was given to the 1% by whatever that they work for. And they said, cool. So they just did the steps. And then somewhere along step like 25 or 30, a wrench, something happened and blew the whole thing apart. And they still have their plan though. That's why if you really look back last 5 years, you could see that they were still trying to do the steps, but it just didn't work. Every step was met with like resistance. Oh, we caught you lying. Oh, there's a narrative change. Oh, and it's like every little, all the truth started spilling out. And it was like they're looking at their little sheet and they're like, every step we're doing is getting like fought with. What do we do to like just keep doing it? Go to 62, 63, 60, and then it's just like it just all falls apart. And if you look at it like that way, you really can kind of see that happen. And in my intuition, in my mind, I feel like whatever, if there was a dark agenda behind the people, not just people, maybe they were wiped off the board and that power they had went away. And that's why all of a sudden it was like the plan stopped working.
And
I feel
as
like
much
that.
as I hate social media and 90% of what it's all about, you almost have to give credit to
You
the
do.
public
You
and
have to.
staying connected to out these motherfuckers on all this
No,
shit.
I mean, all these, you guys,
The only way
a
the
lot of
truth gets out.
podcasts, people talk about stuff and they go, this doesn't make sense, or this, and those little holes, if enough people are jabbing little holes in that plan, that narrative, it just crumbles, man. I think that's what happened. You got to thank social media for that one.
Yeah.
And honestly, if we want to be real, thank Elon for buying X and just letting it go free, straight up speech, because without the censorship thing, you can't really mold reality if one platform shows complete opposite stuff than what everyone else is showing. That really,
if they don't try, they try.
They try, and then it looks like, well, on X they say this. So what do you mean Facebook, Instagram? Then they look weird because it's that dual perspective thing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, man. The Twitter file, they controlled all of them.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
The narrative was the narrative, and you're not gonna go off the narrative. Like it was pretty scary how close it got, how close we were, man.
It does. Looking back on it, it's just like, what in the hell was happening?
Like, how did this happen? And that's why I think I'm just so like kind of like you said, knowledge. Like I just want to learn because knowledge, G.I. Joe is power, right? So you got some knowledge, really like you kind of start seeing the game, and then you see the game, and like you guys know, like you go down a rabbit hole where you come in an awareness on something, you can't ever like
turn it off.
You can't turn it off.
Nope.
It's like the Matrix. You can't go back in. Like you're out at that. Like that's kind of really what it's like.
Yeah, it's almost like a blessing and a curse, because like you're like, oh, well now I'm privy to this knowledge, and then you're like, oh fuck, now I'm privy to this knowledge.
Yeah, and then you watch a halftime show, and you're like, what is going on here, man? You're like, what is this kind of weird? You can't even enjoy a concert because you're like, this is kind of weird. Like there's all these like weird things, but then you can't ignore it either. Like you see
and then
it,
you see it everywhere.
And then it's everywhere.
And you're like, fuck.
You're like, does anyone else see this?
Well,
that's the social media. That's the good thing, is people see it though. Like more people see it, and the more people see it, maybe it does lose its power. Maybe it is a power.
Yeah, well, and that's why it's so important to, and that's for anyone across the world, anyone to never be afraid to stand up for what you believe in, whatever that is. I don't give a fuck what side of the aisle you're on. Absolutely. I don't care what your beliefs are. But if you in your heart of hearts, in your mind, your soul, you believe in that cause, you should always stand 10 toes down and never be afraid to make that stand. Despite
Absolutely.
and there's no harm in somebody educating you and you changing your mind. There's not a problem. Like, stop with that nonsense too. How many people do you know? I guarantee every one of us know
Oh yeah.
that I will not, like, even if you see it in their eyes that they're like, oh wow, what he just said makes 100%. However, I'm not getting off my box. This is my box. This is the box I want to be in. I'm not leaving it. There are a lot of people out there that are like that.
Yeah, but you know what though? Those little seeds that you just planted in their mind, they don't
They'll
go
grow.
away. They
They'll
grow.
grow.
They'll take a little bit. They may take a couple
They do.
months, or a couple weeks, but they will sit there when the life like gets quiet for a minute,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What did he say? What was that?" That does kind of make sense, and that right there is, I think, what blew up their whole plan.
It
Was
could be. And we also live in a world where it's if you haven't noticed, it's you're constantly shamed for being wrong.
that
And
right?
Yeah,
we shouldn't
wrong.
live in that world.
Yeah, right.
Or well, yeah, quote unquote wrong, or just wrong in general. We shouldn't live in a world where you come down on people so hard for being wrong.
We're all
We're
wrong.
all wrong. We're all wrong. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That's my
I've
point.
been
Is
wrong
we're
so
all
many
wrong.
times, so
Yeah,
many times.
and that's okay.
Always
There's
wrong.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all whatsoever. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. It's just
Mm-mm.
we live in a big, like, strange world right now, and
Yeah.
I hope that your regression future
Whatever.
comes to pass. I mean, I do, and I want to ask how, because like the way he described everything, it made me feel some type of way. But how powerful was it whenever, like, he looked at you and was like, "Welcome home," like that big.
Dude,
It gave me
dude,
goosebumps when you
I
said it.
freaked out. I was like, "Who's he talking to?" I thought he was talking to my spirit guide. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "No, you. Like you went there to help, and this is, it's been a long, hard, terrible journey, but like you succeeded the mission. Like the humans are now on the right path they're supposed to be on, and whatever you can say about that, you do what you will, but you know." We're founded on free will, man. No one should really be telling us what we can and can't do. And if there was a dark agenda that was trying to guide us or take us over, that's not what humans are. We choose that. We choose what we want, right? Like,
I feel that.
but how can you make a choice if you're being manipulated?
Yeah.
And that's what it was. They were being manipulated to make wrong choices, but they didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like human history wise, not even like right now, like just
Yeah.
history wise. And it's like, it makes sense. I mean, I believe humans are inherently good. I really do. I think most of us are. Like some of us aren't, but that's not most of us.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
I think most of us are fine, are great people, want to do good,
Yeah.
want to raise a family, want to make a mark on the world, want to be positive, want to create whatever it is. And that's, I think, what life is about. But when you have something that can't create, right? Like imagine if you couldn't create, you'd hate people who could, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't create anything. Like it's impossible for you to create
Yeah.
anything. Imagine somebody who couldn't for whatever reason.
Oh
And
yeah,
then you
the
see
the
these,
envy and the jealousy would just be
yeah, but then like you see these other people who can, and they're great at the art and the writing and this and all and everything, or life, just create a good life, and you're like, I hate them. That's what that other side is what I think.
I can see that.
And I
or
think
even beyond that, like even able to experience emotions, like if you're not capable of that, if you're not capable of feeling things like that, and you see this whole other side that's
again,
able to
yeah.
care, that's able to love, that's able to be compassionate and lustful and all be able to be sad and all that shit, like you're gonna look at that and be like, man, that's a whole other world out there.
Like what is that?
Yeah. And how
But
much you're missing out on. You're just
but
gonna be like,
again, it brings me, like, what do these guys feel like? These blonde elf looking things? They felt warm. It felt like a family member. It felt like light. They're
yeah,
obviously not bad.
that's what I was gonna ask. Like,
You don't feel that. You feel like, I felt like he said, "Welcome home." Like, "Oh, you're my family. I just forgot about you for stupid Earth lifetimes." I don't know how many. Like, I don't
I
know
was
how. You know,
Wondering
like
if you like got any inclination or any feeling as to why they had so much interest in the Earth and humans.
so from what it felt, or what it seemed like, was that they didn't want, and I don't know, I mean, we all can look up the different races, right? I think they're Pleiadian, if you want to be honest, but they felt a duty, like humanity isn't being left alone to choose their path. They're being guided to a dark path, and that's not what it was supposed to be. And we can't. They obviously just couldn't show up and just change everything. There was like you know a law, maybe a rule or something, but they couldn't just like, boo, hey, stop doing that, like do this. Like I don't think they could do that. So I
Well,
think it had to be.
at the end of the day, that would be them enforcing their
Manipulating.
will upon
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
Well, and
manipulating their own way.
that's so it felt like we can't just like go there and do it, or go there and tell you guys like, hey, or tell humans like, hey, blah blah. It felt like whatever rules in place for that, the dark ones were following the rule, but they were skirting around the edges. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
influence. So
Yeah,
they've decided, well, we can influence too. Well, how can we influence? We have to incarnate on as humans, and you have to live an actual human life, and be a thought provoker, be a free thinker, be a rebel, be whatever, like that process of that. And I mean, obviously it must have taken thousands of millennia or more, like like that's not a quick thing, right? It's like, it's gonna take time. You got to live a
right.
whole
Oh yeah.
life,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
So that it felt like that was the way to con- let me think. That was the way. Let me feel on. That was the way to um, continue the free will that is paramount. That apparently to Earth, I think, but allow another way, something like that. That's how it felt, and it was a long mission, I guess. It took a long time.
Yeah.
It took forever.
I I mean, man, there's almost solace in feeling like if there are factions out there manipulating humanity, which I mean, that's not that far fetched to
Apparently,
think that,
apparently there are.
yeah, that there are ones that are trying to not necessarily manipulate us, but push away the ones that are. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
just I think it was like, hey, you guys are being shoved into the dark, and you weren't supposed to. That wasn't what this was supposed to be. So we're gonna free you and let you do what you're what's supposed to do. And I think, in my greatest dream wish would be there is a whole galactic group that are like, "What's up?" And welcome us in type shit. It sounds like crazy, but like, is it? I don't know. Like, I mean, not really. We've written stories. Star Trek is literally that. So like, is it really that crazy? Not really. Not really. Sounds crazy, just living on Earth, but like, okay, what if there is?
yeah, I
It only
mean,
sounds crazy on Earth because we all live divided.
Yeah, we're all like hate each other. Meanwhile, it's like,
That's yeah. And if you
why are you
think
guys
about it,
doing
like
that?
everything you were just saying about them, like as a whole, welcoming you back as a family, that could be here on this planet. It's just
It probably is.
it is one of them things that culturally would have to slowly evolve over time. Like we
Yeah,
need to be being taught more about family and respecting the rest of your community and helping people and so on and so
absolutely.
forth. But we've been nudged into the direction of only care for thyself,
yep.
forget everybody else. And
Yeah.
it's sad to see, it really is. It's terrible. We
Well,
shouldn't
division,
be
right?
that way.
All we've
Yeah.
seen in the past 4 or 5 years is division, division. You think differently, you're wrong, you're an enemy. No, it's okay to think different. It's always been okay to think different. Like you said earlier, feels like it before 2020 didn't exist, but before 2020, people could think differently.
Yeah.
You just said, "Oh, I don't really agree with you, but we're still boys, or we're still married, or we're still this."
Yeah.
Now it's like you're an enemy. I'm going to kill you. You're dead to me because you think different. That's not how this was ever.
Right.
You know.
No. No.
But that's the division. That's what better way to keep us from uniting than, dividing us every little way you can.
Yeah. And that's been apparent for a long
It's
time. And
been
it's
apparent for
still
a long time.
still
I
people
think
still fall to it.
well,
I mean,
I think they fall to it because of emotions, because they're like, "What?"
yeah,
Like you said, "I don't wanna be wrong, I can't be wrong." Newsflash, yes, you can. Newsflash, everyone has been wrong.
yeah,
Newsflash, grow from it, then you're a fool if you don't. But if you grow from it and you go, "Okay, well, I didn't know this information," or, "Oh, wow, it was all propaganda. Oh, no," because propaganda exists, it's a real thing. It's
Oh
not like
yeah.
it's
sure,
fake. Cults exist. They're a real thing. We've all seen the documentaries. So, like there's a lot of things that people need to like just reevaluate, just sit and just really think about it. But go, go, go. Bills, 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 bill, you gotta
yep,
pay your bills. No one has a second to just chill for a minute, right? And
Yeah.
be like, okay, am I happy or what do evaluate. Evaluate. But I think we're on the path of that, man. It feels like just to me anyway.
I hope
It
so.
seems it seems to be a little bit more like you can't live on the verge of World War III. Like, it's not
No,
good.
No.
Like, you can't focus. You can't build a life if you're like, well, the nuke's gonna drop. Like, I mean, dude, I live in like the biggest naval base ever, or like area. Like, this is gonna get hit where I live if we're end up in nuclear war. So, like, I don't want to think about that crap. That's ridiculous. I don't think the aliens would let it though. I think they shoot down the nuke.
And I keep going back to like disclosure and shit. It makes you wonder the narrative they're going to try to spin since essentially their hands being forced. It makes you wonder if they're going to use this disclosure as like some sort of like bring the world together, now we have a common enemy, yada yada yada. If
So
that's like a
that
card they're going to play.
so here's the thing, right? And I think you're right in that they're being forced to disclose. The only thing I think you may not be right on is I don't think they have a choice of how they do it. As far as like trying to be like, oh, they're the enemy. I don't think they're going to be able to do it like that because I think whatever these things are, they're not going to let them just try to like control the game like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're bad. We're not. We all got to unite. One world government. We'll fight them off. I don't think they'll be able to do it. I think it's like a very like, hey, you better start disclosure process, ramp it up towards the end of the year, and we're gonna start showing up. We're gonna show up so much that people can't like deny it anymore. I mean, at an airport in the middle of the day, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like
Crazy.
literally the middle of the day. It was like 12 o'clock. Like it looked clear as anything. That kind of stuff. So I wonder if that stuff is gonna just ramp up and then it's all gonna culminate in like some kind of like announcement.
Yeah. Then the wild thing about that is like nobody outside of the circles are talking about it. Like it's not a like I
You talking about the
essentially
airport?
yeah,
The
like
airport? Yeah, yeah.
and like the over DC and shit, like that stuff should be plastered everywhere. But instead, like you'll just find it in your
On
little
TikTok.
paranormal circles and your little
Yeah,
UFO
in
circles.
Twitter or whatever. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
see it pop up. Well, I mean, you saw the thing, right? They have 4K images and videos, apparently. The government does, and they're just holding on. I think that stuff is going to be the next wave of things, is quote leaks.
Yeah.
but at the end of the
Not
day, there's still a vested interest in keeping it out of the news.
true, but is the news really the news? I mean, who's watching the
Yeah.
news?
You're right, but like right now, unfortunately, that's how we clarify a lot of things is by these mainstream
Which is
sources right
bad,
now.
which we
Oh,
really shouldn't.
yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. I absolutely agree. But at the end of the day, no matter what anybody wants to argue, alternative media sources like ourselves, or even Tony, Sam Tripoli, those guys, they still don't compare to it being on the front page of every
Of
news
anything. Yeah.
article out there. Like there's
Yeah. I
still
agree.
like, because we only have an extended reach, which I feel like those get purposely put dampers on.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're still trying to control the narrative the best they can
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Well,
because they don't want to lose power.
it could be the old guard, still a few people rolling around in there,
I'm sure.
still trying to.
I'm
But I
sure.
think whatever that date is, if it's, I don't know why I keep thinking next year, but even if it's not, whatever that date is, I do not think it's decades from now. I think it's at most
No,
5
no.
years. I don't even know if
Yeah.
it's that much. And I think what we'll see is more. ramp up of different topics being sent out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they always say like, oh, humanity's not ready. Like, first off, don't tell me what we're ready for. Okay, I'm ready for anything. Second off, really, what could it really be that would be so traumatic and bad that it would blow everything up? Like, okay, you're a soul vessel. Okay, so are you gonna take my soul? Like, what are you saying? Like, what do you mean?
Well,
Oh, what are you trying to say? Oh, we put you there. There's no God. Well, clearly there's something, because we all got an energy force. Because when you die, the light's out of your eyes. So what is that light? Like, we've all seen a dead body. You go to a funeral, it looks like a puppet. It doesn't look like a person.
Looks like a vessel.
It just looks like an empty vessel. So whatever that is, like, stop. What is it? We need to know. Humanity has to know to move forward. I mean, you can't control it much longer. People want to know.
I think it's just the controlling of a narrative, man. Because I think realistically, if you kind of ponder on it, if it gets fully laid out in front of us, like from A to B, A to Z,
Yeah, the whole thing.
we know everything. I think the scariest thing about that is for all of us to collectively come to the same conclusion without mama government.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because then now we're all on because not to compare, and this is meant to be a good statement. Look what happened to most of humanity after 9/11.
Yeah.
A lot of people started putting their differences aside real fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like,
enemy. Common
hey.
enemy.
I remember
So
that. Yeah.
if this all got laid out in front of us, whether it's a common enemy or a common truth, where we all collectively are like, hey, what they've been telling us we should be doing, we definitely shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so collectively, I think we would all change our mind and be like, no. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And then their world, their power, because you guys have all seen it. Everybody's seen it. The people in charge want to be in charge.
Absolutely.
And they'll do anything to keep it. They'll do anything.
They've been doing anything to keep it.
They have been doing anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the game quote of whatever this is got shuffled somewhere. Something happened. And I think there's new rules at play. And we don't know the rules. I don't even know if the ones that you're talking about know the rules either. I think they're like, oh shit, something's
Probably
different.
not.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
something going on. And it's great because, we're supposed to be free. But what gave me, you talk about solace, was this life is the last life. So either we're going to live, they're going to discover how to live to 500 years old, or I don't, and it's not that much longer. This life, I'm almost 40 already. I mean, okay,
Damn
maybe
40.
40, 50, 60. Yeah, I mean, how far am I going to live? Unless they cure
Right.
aging. They cure aging. I don't know. Maybe I'll live for 500, but
Maybe.
I don't know. But they're saying this life, so at least on Earth, for me,
I feel
means-
I
like
can see how at the end of it, the weight is off your shoulders. I mean, because this is it. This is you're moving on.
Well, I just I want humanity to thrive, man. Like, we haven't been
Yeah.
able to. We're not allowed. It's like you're not
I feel
allowed.
that.
I mean, you work your guys' ass off all the time.
I think that's what I think you nailed it on the head. We're not allowed.
We're not allowed to
Yeah.
thrive because you guys work, just the rat race, the
Resonated
wheel, right?
in it.
Yeah, if it hits,
No,
you're not allowed to
yeah.
thrive. You guys would do this.
That's a great statement.
You guys would do this all day, every day, if you could make a living.
Oh,
at it.
absolutely,
100%.
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You would love it. You'd make good money. You'd be at peace.
We talk
you'd
about it
be-
all the time. We talk
Yeah,
about the
that's-
plan all the time.
That's what it is. But here's the thing: you're not allowed to thrive. Now,
Yep.
yeah, some people break out of the box and are able to do it, but we don't know what that means. Were they allowed to? Was there, something told to them like, "Hey, we'll let you do this, but you got to do that." I don't know. I mean, that's apparently how it works at the Diddy parties. So something's going on, man. I don't know.
Right.
But there's rules, and I think that's the problem: is that the rules were made so you could not thrive to do what you really wanted to do. You had to settle to do what you had to do, and when you do what you have to do, and you don't like it or love it, you slowly die inside. You're doing what you got to do, but you're like, I fucking hate this.
Yep.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Which then, to be fair, to kind of circle back into everything, when you're of that mindset of exactly what you just described, when are we the most influential or influenced, I should say?
Yeah, you're compliant
Is
at
when
that
we're
point.
when we are broke inside.
Yep.
That's when we're we're the easiest to manipulate is when we're broken. When you're
Yeah, think
strong,
100%.
absolutely,
when you're
absolutely.
strong, because that's what me and my wife talked about this the other day, and I was like, "Do you realize how important it is for you and me to be good?" And
Yeah.
we started talking. I was like, "Listen, when you and me are good, I'm unbeatable. Nobody can beat me.
Yeah, nothing gets in.
I will take hit on the chin over and over and over and over if you and me are good. If you and me are bad, I am broken inside, and it is not hard to run me over. But if you and me are good, I'm unstoppable.
Yeah,
I am
it's wild.
unstoppable." And it
It's
just
wild.
it's weird. It's just really weird that you describe all
No,
that.
it's because think of it, right? You work all day, you come home, and you're like dad and husband time and all this stuff. Great. And then like I got to turn my brain off just like to try to like cool down before I go to bed. You put on some
Yeah.
show. Like you're not that's not thriving. That's just like existing, you know. And yeah,
Yes.
you
That's exactly what I
thrive.
was gonna say.
Well, you thrive when it's like your family and stuff. Yes, but like you're still spending how many hours working?
Yep.
And then you see your money not go as far. It's like I'm working, but I how am I still behind? Like this year, I've made more money than I've ever made in my life, and I'm struggling still.
Same.
Somebody explain
Crazy.
this to me.
It's
I've
crazy.
made more money than I've ever made in my life, and I'm somehow making it, but very
Yep.
barely. So
Same.
how is that a thing?
Yep. They
How is
keep,
that a thing?
Yep.
they just keep like making your quality of life cost more.
Yep.
Which
Well,
is
because what does that do, right? It keeps you on the wheel. On the like, I gotta get
Yep.
more. I gotta get more. And then by the time you get more, oh well, more's not enough.
Yep.
So
That's why I quit. I quit working overtime. I won't do it. It's not worth it.
shouldn't. It's not
Never.
worth it.
It's never worth it. When you actually do the math, it's not worth it.
No.
It's
And
not
so
worth
I'm
it.
someone, for my past life one, I'm only gonna work the full time hours that are required. I will not do overtime.
That's
I
where
don't
I'm at.
believe. I don't
Yeah,
believe in it. I don't want to do it. The money's not worth losing time for
Nope.
my wife, my kids, and even my hobbies, my writing. I want to write. I can't
Exactly.
write if my battery's on 1%. I
Yep.
can't
Yeah.
create, and
Dude,
that's
I
important.
will attest to that. Like for you guys, you creative types that like to write or draw or whatever, man, like there's a 100% difference between being in the zone and not being in the zone.
Yeah,
It is a night and day difference.
yeah. I won't want to. Like I don't
Yep.
want to sit down and do it. Where if I'm energized and rested, oh yeah, let's go.
Yep.
And my job's a mental job. I do sell insurance, so it's talking and it's not physically laborish, but you're mental, like you're
Oh, yeah, it takes a toll.
selling and you're talking and stuff. And it is eventually will be able to probably set me up where I won't have to like work as hard, which is fine. I can do that. But it's like one of those things where it's just like, okay, how do we like not lose everything to working? Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be successful. I want to have the financial stability, but I can't just do 60 hours a week just because like that's what it quote takes. It shouldn't take that. If that's what it takes, then someone's broken here. Something's wrong.
I
Oh
feel
yeah.
that in my soul.
Like I either need to change job, like I need to do something different because it can't be that 60 hours is normal to make it. Like that's not true. It's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not true. I don't believe that. So no, I think, I think I'm hoping the money's going to start going a lot further. Things are going to get cheaper. It's going to go a lot farther,
Fingers crossed.
and it won't feel that pressure anymore, because I'll handle it. We're men, right? We're supposed to do that. I got it. I can do it.
We'll
Been doing
figure
it.
it out.
Yeah.
We got it. But also, like, doesn't mean it's easy. It's not easy.
Yeah,
to-
that's what
to
I
do.
always tell my wife. When it comes to those important things, I always we'll figure it out. Is what whatever.
Now it always works out,
Yeah,
which just gives me peace. But also, like, I don't want to be wondering either. Like yesterday, my washer stopped working, and I was like, "Oh God!" Right during Christmas, are you kidding me? I had 5 loads to do, the kids'
Right.
laundry, and I'm like, "I'll deal with it tomorrow." And then today it worked. I'm like, "Okay." Thank God. I don't have to waste $500 on the washer.
Yeah.
Dodge
I'm
the
kind of
bullet.
going. I'm kind of going through the same thing with a water heater. My water heater's like,
it's
and I'm like,
fighting.
just come on, hang on a little bit more, hang on a little bit longer.
Like we got this. Just a little
Yeah.
bit more.
I did have one more question about the future past regression, and you might not even have the answer to this but it just kind of stood out in my mind. Like, what do you think the white marble Greek connection is with the door? Do you think that's just personal to you, or do you think it's personal to the whatever race of these entities were?
Yeah, actually. So the temple thing was the same stone type. It looked like that.
That's kind of
Which
what
is
I
interesting.
thought.
Yeah. But it made me think even more. Because I mean, it just screamed Greek Roman to me. But when I went through and I saw the temple, and that temple looks like one of those temples too, in a way, besides the portal in the middle. But like the pillar, like I had pillars, like all these pillars and a dome, like it looked like that. So it actually connected a little bit more. I was like, oh, is this like, were they here before, or
That's kind of what I was
was
thinking. Like,
maybe was an architect one of the people who came and they were getting those ideas from their home planet? I don't know. Or maybe they came. I don't really know.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I was thinking. Like, maybe they instilled some of that knowledge into people from the past.
Well, I mean, if you're one of them that came back here and you built that, it, when you're going to architect a temple, there's going to be an idea of what it looks like. Maybe they're remembering the soul's memory
Yeah.
from that, and they're like, "I'm going to build that." Yeah,
that's.
I think it was something like that, which is really cool concept. I mean, I like that a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then it begs
Now,
the question: does that count as manipulation for humans?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other part, because if you're an alien soul in a human body now,
Oh,
are you human or are you an alien? I don't know. Are you human? I guess
these are the
you're in a
questions.
human
I
body.
feel
This is why people tune in.
personally, I feel like the entire thing is wishy washy. Like
Yeah.
even the concept of it's very complicated, and it depends on how you look at it. But the influence from light and dark is still influence. It's still a
Absolutely.
form of manipulation.
Absolutely.
So it just kind of depends on, and then that the dark will pretend to be light and manipulate from that. And so there's this, it's an ever evolving web of,
We're
at
just
the end of the day,
pawns on the chessboard,
you still
baby.
have to
Absolutely.
focus on your mission and your true
Well,
belief.
this is why, to me, discernment and intuition are so freaking important, because when I was younger, I didn't really, I mean, I had some intuition, but I didn't really think about it like that. Now I like really listen to it and I don't question it anymore. And if I meet someone that gives me a bad vibe, I don't need proof, whatever. Okay, I just want to be around you. Like, and it always ends up being right. There's always something going on, and you find out later. Like, I always find out, oh, that guy did something, or whatever. 2 years later, I'm like, oh, good thing I didn't, wasn't hanging out with him. But like that kind of stuff, like I think that's where that comes in, and that I think that's your soul telling you, like, hey, listen, we all had those senses as hunters, I'm sure, back in the day, right?
Yep.
Out there in the woods and you're fighting for survival, that extra sense and the predator's staring at you, that's real. Like, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it intuition, you can call it sixth sense, you can call it hyper awareness, whatever you want to say. But we all still have it. And I think the closer that you get to that again, as far as spiritually awakening, I think that little light that just, it hits more. It seems to come out more. Like, I don't even question anymore. I just like, okay, whatever. If I get a weird feeling, or man, there'd be people I've like met them and felt like I saw something, like something they did. And I'm just like, okay, bad, never good stuff. It's always bad stuff. It's never good stuff. It's always like, beats his wife or something, or his kid, or something like that. I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna talk to them again. I stay away.
Yep. I
And
feel
that
Yeah.
that's more from the first time I did the past life stuff. It seemed to really get strong, and now I don't even question it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, with these, are they good? Are they bad? Oh, okay, they felt warm. I know that when I almost got abducted, that was fear, terrifying. That was not warm. That was scary. That was like, we're doing this against your will. You know, that's what that felt like. That's not good.
No.
That's not good. I'm sorry. If you're going to take people against their will that they didn't ask to be taken and delete their memory of it, I
Yep.
don't give it. That's wrong. I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
wrong. It's not
That's
okay.
why I stand 10
Now,
toes down on it. I don't care what
if
they
you're
look like.
hey, come get me, I want to see your ship, and something happens to you, well, you asked for it, so it's your fault at that point. But if it's something like you're driving your car and you're missing time, which apparently is a big thing on TikTok right now. I don't know if you've seen that. It's blowing up. There's all these people talking about missing time. I'm like, I comment every video. I'm like, you may want to do a memory regression because something just happened to you.
Dude, that's why I
You know,
stand 10 toes down on them being manipulated. I don't care what the
it's
fuck they look like. Light,
no,
love,
it's
woman in white, Jesus himself.
no.
If
If you're
you
doing
take me
that,
against my will, you can get it. That's
yeah,
just where I'm
because
at.
you and you know, there's people who talk about this, but well, you had a soul contract to get abducted. Cool. I didn't say that though. Like I didn't say that. I don't want that. So you're not going to do it to me.
Yeah.
And if they do it to you anyway,
That's
and then for mine specifically, so if you're not bad, how come when I prayed for Michael the archangel and Jesus and envisioned them in my room, all of a sudden you ran off? Well, that's weird.
yeah.
Because I'm praying for literal archangels in armor with freaking fire swords because I was so scared that you were going to do something to me that happened, you know, from X-Files probably, or Fire in the Sky when I was a kid or whatever. But like, you stopped. Why did you stop? So you're not stronger than whatever that belief system is, right? Because then it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what is
Exactly.
really, so, you know, that kind of stuff to me, it's you know, duality, right? Good, bad, light, dark, whatever. But I prayed and it stopped. So what do you want me to tell you? Like, I don't know what to say. Like, you obviously were doing something bad and you turned tail and ran. And that's the idea that started me with like, are some of these aliens actually like demonic entities? Fallen angels? Are they the same thing? I mean, I don't know. Like, and that's the part like being a human's annoying because like we should know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I feel like we
we're in
deserve to know.
2024. We should know by now, and we
Yep.
don't know because it was hidden or controlled. But I
Yeah.
think we would know.
Yeah, I feel like we deserve.
You know
to
what I mean? And again, like, is it another planet they're from? Is it another dimension? Is it Earth? You know, the ocean. Like, what is going on here, man? Like, we have to know. Like, you can't.
It's crazy.
People are filming shit on their phones. Like, can we just stop with the pretending at this point?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
you got
you're
goddamn
filming and stop. Like, come on.
UFOs landing at airports.
That's not an airport. Like,
How much more do you need? You know,
in broad daylight.
yeah,
So are we gonna like you said? They're just pretend like that's not a thing. No, it's a thing. Like millions of people have seen this the picture and the video. There's a video too of it like in the air. So like, okay, can we
have the conversation now? You know, I feel like all the weird one-off shit that's happened in the last year, 2 years, like the fucking
Miami Mall. I mean,
yeah,
what the
Miami
fuck?
Mall, the Las Vegas alien. Like, I feel like these are power plays by the ones that are above anything going on here on Earth. That said, if you're not gonna push this conversation,
Then
we're
we're gonna
going
do it.
to. So,
Dude,
figure it
the
fuck
Miami
out.
Mall thing was insane. That was wild.
Yeah,
And it was just like,
there were so many first responders there. Like, that was,
dude,
the only
they
thing
took people's
comparable that I could
phones.
think of was 9/11 when the first plane hit the tower. Like,
oh yeah, there was a lot. Yeah,
that's the only thing. Like, and they showed up to a mall for a fight. Get the fuck out of here.
like, what are we doing? And then the Vegas was in the backyard, right?
Yes.
The one in the backyard. Okay, that one. And then the whole thing with Peru. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Where they're peeling people's faces off.
Yeah.
What?
How like,
Riding gliders? What are we talking about? Like, and they're just like,
crazy.
well, we're just gonna just keep moving on to the next thing. It's like, okay, but like, we need to know what this is. And you're right, it's ramping. I mean, it's ramping up. So
And the scary thing is that it is ramping up, but I feel like there's no
In what way?
more attention to it than there was the last crazy thing that happened.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy is the congressional hearings, though, because that's like real. Like you're putting people on record. Like if they're lying, they can go to jail for that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Forever.
serious to go through, and you're just like, you're right. It's strange because you get these like one-off events, and then you have a congressional hearing, and then there's like whistleblowers, and then it's like I can't answer that. I have to be in a skiff to answer that. So obviously there's an answer that's not no because you're talking about a private meeting. Okay. And then there's like a random event in the mall or the airport. I'm like, this is wild. Like, cause they're just out there like it's actually pretty insane if you really because this would have never been like 10, 15 years ago.
No.
There'd be like the airport thing, and then you would never see there'd be nothing for like ever again. It'd be like something it could be a drone. Now they're landed in the freaking day. You got a congressional hearing on Tuesday. Wednesday, the Miami Mall incident happens. Thursday, it's the Vegas thing. Friday, it's like, okay. So either Earth's like dimension is slamming into the next. Something's happening here, guys. Like, what's going on? Where's the Bigfoots? Because if we're going to that dimension, I guess.
Oh yeah, 10-year-old Steve is like losing his mind right now. He's like, what is happening?
I'm like, I don't know. Cryptids are probably real. All of them. The Bigfoot's probably the original human that was here that they pushed away and put humans. They're probably from Mars.
You can't even question it now. Like they're having congressional hearings about aliens
that have killed people. Have killed people because they said it.
Yeah. And you can't even they're redefining the term alien at this point. You're like, what even is happening? You know?
Well, actually, we think they're from the ocean. Huh?
Yeah.
Like what? In the ocean? Hollow Earth where King Kong is? What are we talking about, guys? Like, what are we doing?
I don't think the gravity of that statement has really sank into my brain yet. Like I talk about it and stuff.
The ocean thing? Yeah.
Like that they've been here all along. Which I mean, you hear rumblings of that in our niches and stuff, but the fact that was brought before Congress,
they said
has
it literally
not drilled into my head like holy shit.
Well, because that kicks kicks the door open to the whole either inner Earth or the jet Admiral Byrd, that whole thing. Like that kicks the door open to all of that stuff. So I mean, that would be like the coolest damn thing ever if that was real. Like, well, they're not really from planets; they're from outside the ice wall, huh?
Yeah.
Like
at the end of the day, it's been a rough go over here lately. But at the same time,
interesting.
Also, pretty interesting time to be alive.
Yeah,
bro, season 2024 of Earth is like fire TV, man. Like this shit is wild. You get people getting almost shot, president candidates getting shot. You got aliens showing up. You got like what is going on, man? This is crazy. It's like who's writing this show? Who's writing this simulation?
Think about so we're going in 2-year increments. Think about the next time you come on the show. How different the world may be,
bro. At that point. You know what I want? Here's what I want. I want the whole free energy device thing that have come out that they probably have. That's the one I want. I want the 0-point energy thing. I want the secret space fleet that's out there apparently protected. I want Solar Warden. Get him going. Let's do this, man. Let's go, dude. Yeah,
I'm with it.
Let's. We're like, so guys, everything we've talked about in the last 5 years has been accurate and true, and
we were right.
We were right.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, fun times for sure. But yeah, so I feel give you guys that peace. Like everything's cool, guys. Don't worry.
Good. That's good to know.
I'm here for it. Here for it. We're just holding on.
He's like, please get me off the rat wheel.
Yeah. I didn't ask to be a human. Where was I in this meeting when everybody raised their hand? You know,
you were there, bro. I saw you guys. You're like we're gonna go to this
next time this happens. Talk me out of it.
You're like, this plane is too easy. I want a hard land.
Yeah. Send me back to Grief Town. You know,
get me out of here, man. The heck. Yeah. No, I thought you guys would enjoy it. It was really powerful, but it did take me a minute to really and I tell my wife, I tell her everything. So I'm like, hey, so I got to talk to you about this, she's like, okay, she believes me and everything, but it's a weird kind of conversation with your wife to have that, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
be from here,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Congratulations, you won the intergalactic lottery, dear.
No, it's funny. She would always tell me, even like before all this stuff, she would be like, we would talk about aliens. She's like, well, I'm probably from another planet, and I'm probably an alien princess. I'm leaving this. She would always say it as a joke. It was always funny. And then after this, I was like, maybe you were. Hey, you never know. Came to Earth. I don't know why. Bad move. Bad decision.
Oh, yeah, that's what is even going to happen in 2 years. I don't know. It's fucking wild. But we appreciate you taking the time to kick it with us today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There won't be another past life one though. I'm good. I don't need to do that anymore.
You really got
how do
my
you
brain
top that?
turning.
How do you top that one? You know, I mean, like personally, I feel like I was a Viking once because I love Viking stuff. Like I love all that. But you know, maybe not, maybe so. But I feel like this third one was like it. Like I'm like, okay, I mean, I got what I wanted.
Yeah, you got your solace. You got your
What else is there? But yeah, if you guys are thinking about doing it, the lady does it. I can connect you to who it is. It's all on Zoom.
That'd be dope.
They tape it. Yeah, she tapes it so you can rewatch it. And I rewatched mine because I was like, is she planting thoughts? Because that was my big fear about doing that.
Yeah.
Was like, is she gonna lead me in some way to like, don't you like Japan? You know, like something like that. You know, like. But you watch it. It's not. You know, it's however long an hour it was, and there was no. It was me. You know, leading it and talking. So I can't even say that it was implanted thoughts, you know, at all in any way, shape, or form, other than, I mean, I'm a writer, so I guess I could have made the whole thing up, right? I mean, I could have. I don't know. I'm not famous from it, so I guess it didn't work. I don't know.
It was, yeah. Because like we do so much stuff. I had forgotten about the first two until you started talking about them. Then you could like probably see it in my head. I'm like, oh shit, yeah.
I was like, yeah, I remember that. No, they were if you guys are looking at it for sure, it's it gives you very weird like nod your head to your current life in weird ways, like certain perspectives that you probably have and thoughts you have that you've just always had, but you never really thought like where did that actually come from? Because you know it's just part of who you are, and you're like, oh well, if that's where that came from, okay, that makes sense. Oh, I do love this culture, you know, whatever, you know, and then you're like, okay, and then you have the life, and you're like, wow, this is pretty relevant. Like it's weirdly relevant to your modern day. I mean, which makes no sense because if it's like ancient Egypt or something, I mean, how is that relevant to now? But then it ends up being relevant in a really weird way. Yeah. I would recommend it if it's something that you've been like, you know, in your brain tossing about. Like maybe I want to do that and see but it's not like, you know, you're not always gonna be the hero of the story, so it may not be a good one. But it'll be relevant at least. And you don't feel the thing is the best part is you don't feel the emotions. In my first two, I didn't feel the emotions at all. But in this one I did feel the emotion of, which is interesting, the home emotion. I felt that when he hugged me. But the other two I didn't feel the emotions, like the death or the, you know, I didn't feel any of that. It was just like explaining it. But this one I felt it, which was kind of interesting in a weird way.
That makes it a lot more intense.
Yeah, I felt like that sigh. Okay, it's good. Like you know, everything's gonna be okay. That's kind of sigh, like relief. Like okay, we're good. We're all good. We made it. You know, missions it says humanity doesn't go into the and then you know what haunts me quote on that one was, what were those roaring monster noises?
Oh yeah, when you started talking about that, I'm like,
I was like, what the fuck is it? Like, are they it just sounded like this, you know, the Appalachian shit, like rah, in the woods, like crazy noises like that, you know, roaring. And the lady was just so scared, man. She was just like, just worst life ever.
That's terrifying.
You know, like
no let's not go there.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we're good. It didn't happen, but I guess we were close.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Too
close, but I guess we got turned left the last minute and got off that train.
I'm glad.
Oh no, I don't want that.
That's wild. You really got you got my wheels turning about maybe looking into it a little bit.
I think it'd be cool.
I'm curious now. Seeing,
let me know.
Hearing your experiences, and then like seeing firsthand Kyle's experience at the paranormal convention with the tarot read and stuff, and how I guess affected you both were from it kind of resonates within me a little bit. So maybe that's in my future. But definitely appreciate you hanging out. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, hopefully we get to talk again in a couple years.
After
Hopefully
my
it's not
book.
chaos. I thought my screen
No.
freezed up there for a second.
Sorry. No, it'll be. So I'm really gonna push hard on that book, the one I was telling you.
That'd be awesome.
The
Definitely
family.
hit us up with that.
Yeah, the ancestry one with the different. It's like I'm like full spirit ahead on that. So
That's
probably I'm gonna shoot to finish it like by the summer, like 6 months or something.
Oh yeah, hit us up
So,
whenever you get it together. And
yeah.
I'd love to read it, and then I'd love if you get to a point to where you want to put it out, we'll definitely send it out
Oh
to the
no,
Holocult, because I think
it's
everybody's
going on
gonna love it.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I already got a
good.
cover. I've been
Oh,
messing
yeah.
with the cover. It's already like, yeah, I'm messing with that. So I'm gonna have that done. But it's that one. It came from y'all. I mean, I'm not even joking on that. It was from one of your episodes. I'll try to remember what episode it was, but it was something with family lineages and stuff. And I was like, well, my family's got a lot of stuff. I wonder, like, maybe I should write about it. It was like one of those things. I'll have to. I don't know what episode it was. I'll try to think about it. But you guys are the ones. It came from y'all. It was weird. It hit me. It was driving to work at like 7:45 in the morning. I was like, it was like all that noise. It was like, write a book about your family, true story, interviews about paranormal. I'm like, and then paranormal ancestry just hit my head. I was like, okay, I gotta make the book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that we can
so
inspire a little bit of creativity and the will and the want to document weird stuff, because that's, like I said, that's
what you guys do.
Gets lost, it gets lost a lot. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Again, excellent conversation. The conversation before the show was great. It's always good to catch up.
Yeah,
and
absolutely, guys.
Until next time, Holocult, hopefully the next time we talk, there'll be some good reading material coming out as well. But thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday. It's been a good time. Hope everybody has a safe week. And until we meet again, stay safe, stay weird, and maybe it's a cool thing to look into them past life, future life regressions. Maybe you'll get some answers you've been looking for.